Welcome to today's Medicare 360 show, where we simplify Medicare and healthcare so you can make confident decisions for yourself and your family. My name is Jennifer Lee, and I am your host. Today's topic is one that is causing a lot of confusion, frustration, and honestly disappointment for many seniors right now. And it sounds like this. Jennifer, I got a letter saying I'm approved for Medi-Cal slash Medicaid. I'm so happy. What do we do next? Right? Unfortunately, when I do review the letters that a client gets from Medi-Cal or Medicaid, it is not necessarily that they were approved for it, right? Because typically Medi-Cal and Medicaid, they pay for your Part B premiums. They pay for the majority of your prescription drug costs. They basically pay for, all your health care plus get additional added benefits, right? But this is definitely false. It may be false. And this is what I'm going to explain to you today. Because even worse, clients say, I do qualify, but I have a 1,500 share of costs. What does that mean? So if that sounds familiar to you, this episode is for you. So today we are breaking down what Medi-Cal share of cost actually is, why so many people were approved during COVID, and why that's changing, why you can be approved but still have a high out-of-pocket cost, the biggest mistakes people are making right now, and most importantly, what you could do about it. So let's go over the backstory, what happened during COVID. So let's rewind to what happened over the past few years. During COVID, there was a federal policy called continuous coverage protection. That meant states could not remove people from Medicaid, Medi-Cal in California, and even if income changed, even if eligibility no longer applied. Okay, so that's the biggest thing, right? Many people were getting on Medi-Cal, Medicaid, applying for it, getting approved. It was very lax at that time, right? And many people lost their jobs at that time. So as a result of this, millions of people stayed on Medi-Cal. So let's just call it Medi-Cal since many are in California, sometimes without realizing they no longer qualified under normal rules. Okay, so it's the unwinding right now, what's happening now. So when the public health emergency ended, states began what's called the Medi-Cal redetermination process. Okay. So counties are reviewing income, household size, assets in some cases, eligibility categories. And what's really confusing is many people are receiving letters that say, you're approved for Medi-Cal. But what it doesn't clearly explain is you may be approved with a share of cost. And the biggest thing with that is that even when my clients call in, they may talk to someone that has no idea what they're saying or doing or doesn't even know share of costs. And it's so unfortunate. When you call, you might get the wrong information. And that's what's been happening to clients. They're getting wrong information or not explained to them the way it should be. Okay. So let's go over what share of cost is, the core explanation. So let's break it down simply. Share of cost is really your monthly deductible for Medi-Cal. It's the amount you must pay out of pocket before Medi-Cal pays anything. So basically, it's the amount that you need to pay for Medi-Cal to kick in, and that share of cost is monthly. Okay, so let's just say your share of cost is $1,200 per month. That means you must incur $1,200 in medical expenses before Medi-Cal pays a dollar. So until that amount is met, you are essentially paying like you have no Medi-Cal coverage. Okay, so why does this happen? Share of cost is based on your income level above the Medi-Cal limits. minus certain allowable deductions. So if your income is too high for free Medi-Cal, you are placed into a share of cost program. Okay, so that's a lot to swallow, right? So if you do receive a letter, you do receive your Medi-Cal cards, and you're so happy that you're approved, there is another letter that basically says, here's your income, here's your your expenses are just like the allowable they gave you, and then here is your share of cost. Okay, so the biggest thing is being on the right plan, because if you are on a Medi-Cal plan, you might be on the wrong plan because you have to pay up to the limits of your share of costs, and that's costly, especially if there are plans. They may actually give you better coverage, no headaches with the amount you have to pay the share of costs. So let's talk about some scenarios, real life scenarios. So scenario one, I thought it was free client. A client receives an approval letter. They're so excited. They think, great, I have full coverage now. So reality, they have that 1,400 share of costs. They need medical care. They have to pay that $1,400 before the coverage kicks in. Shocking and frustrating, right? Like, it's not. And the biggest indicator is like, is Social Security deducting your Medicare Part B premiums? If they are, you really don't have full Medi-Cal coverage. Okay. So scenario two, the hospital situation. Client goes to a hospital thinking Medi-Cal covers everything. The bill comes in. Why? Because the share of costs was just never met, right? So let's just say your share of costs is 2,400 and your bill costs 1,200. Unfortunately, you would have to pay that if you are not on the right plan. Okay. So scenario three, the never use it problem. Client has a share of costs of $1,800 a month. They rarely go to the doctor. Medi-Cal never activates, so they're technically covered, but not functionally, not benefiting. Okay. Usually, what people use share of costs for is typically like if they're in a skilled nursing facility, that's mainly more of the time that I've seen it at. But let's just say your share of costs is maybe $200. Then you're able to possibly get like say a dental plan for 200 and then go ahead and pay for it that way. And then your share of cost kicks in, right? So that's a way to get around it, but I don't see a lot that their share of cost is 1,200. Okay, so I would just say I just want to explain it again because I've talked to so many clients about this, and some clients, I know they believe me, but when there's social workers telling them a different thing, then it's hard to believe, right? The Medicare agent versus the social worker that works for the government. But in any case, more scenarios. I have one client right now. He got a termination letter from the Medicare Advantage plan he's on because they basically said he doesn't qualify for Medi-Cal anymore. And it's a pretty good plan. They're going to terminate him on the end of the month. But he's just like, Jennifer, I talked to my social worker. They said I have Medi-Cal. So I said, the biggest indicator is, are they deducting that 203.90 out of your Medicare Part B premium, right? That's the first red flag. If they are, then really you don't have full Medi-Cal. If they aren't, then maybe that's a good thing. So with this gentleman, I said, like I've been doing this for a long time. Talk to your social worker again. Sometimes you have to explain it to them. They might not know, which is very unfortunate. Another client case was a client that basically didn't qualify as well. Like she got more income from her husband's. She became a widow, so she had more income. So with her case, also her social worker said, "Congratulations, you're approved for Medi-Cal," but they are still taking the 202.90 out of her Medicare premium, right? In her case, a plan she's on didn't kick her out because it's not a true Medi-Cal plan. However, what I was trying to explain to her is that because that plan is like a semi Medi-Cal plan, like a low income subsidy plan, because you don't have full Medi-Cal, if you do go to the doctor, specialist, hospital, surgery, there are co-pays, right? And the co-pays are very high because now that Medi-Cal is not paying for those co-pays because she's not fully on Medi-Cal, then she would have to pay that before Medi-Cal kicks in. In her case, she's been on that plan for a very long time. She receives other benefits, like those flex card with the grocery, the utilities. So sometimes it's very hard to take that away, right? They're already taking your 202.90 premium from your social, then your benefits may change, right? But the biggest thing is tell my clients, do you want a big bill if you ever go to the hospital and you aren't able to pay it, right? And it's very stressful. Yeah, at that one point, Medi-Cal will kick in, but that's just a lot of work, a lot of paperwork to figure it out and to pay that, right? Depending on what your share of cost is. So yeah, I feel really bad for clients when they tell me, "Oh, I got approved. I'm so happy," right? And the paperwork is just it's not easy to read, if you're not reading it every single day. So just remember, you need to look at it. If you want to know if you have full Medi-Cal, Medicaid status, please let us know and we're able to help you with that. Okay. So yes, just just make sure there's misleading approval language on those letters. Approved doesn't necessarily mean it's free coverage. Okay, so that's big. The lack of explanation. Most letters do not clearly explain the share of costs. And unfortunately, when you do call your social worker, they might not know how to explain it. Just seems uneducated and maybe as a new employee, I'm not sure, but I hear it time and time and again. Okay, the financial shock, right? People expect relief. Instead, they get a large deductible. I mean, today I got a big bill for my son because he went to the emergency and ambulance and so forth, which is unfortunate. So those sticker shock right there. Fortunately, in my case, I did save money on HSA this year, and also the ambulance is covered by my county. Hopefully, I think so. And what else? And it wasn't as big as I imagined to be, which is, I mean, yeah, I was kind of knew it was kind of that. But hey, they make payment plans without interest either. So that might be something we might do. Okay, enough about me. So the coordination issues, the Medicare plus Medi-Cal plus share cost becomes very confusing. You're supposed to be sending this to your social worker. It's just a lot on that. So some people qualify for better programs but don't know it. So that's the biggest thing, right? Like with the client I had mentioned, she could stay on her plan. If she does go to the hospital, she'll have to pay her share of cost. It will kick in, right? But wouldn't it be better just to get the plan that you don't have to worry about your share of cost because it's very low. Maximum out of pockets are very minimal, sometimes even at zero, right? So There are definitely missed opportunities, right? There are plans that actually give you money back. If you're really hurting for that money, the 20290 Part B premium they're taking out of your Social Security, that's something we could talk about. Everything makes sense. You don't foresee yourself going to the doctor, but you just never know nowadays either, right? So things like that that you definitely want to talk about and think about, right? And that's what we're here for, to go over that with you and make the best decisions and choices. So let's go over solutions and strategies. Let's talk about what you can do. So strategy two, verify your actual eligibility. Ask, do I have a full Medi-Cal status? Or share cost Medi-Cal. So huge difference, okay? Like we could tell you, I mean, two heads are better than one. Call your social worker. I think call us first so we could explain it to you. So then if you call your social worker and they don't seem like they know what they're talking about and they're telling you and I'm telling you something different, then you kind of have to advocate for yourself to let them know, you know what, this is how it was explained to me. Is this correct or not? And then we could go back and forth. And unfortunately, Social Security does not like us calling three-way with our patients or seniors anymore. So that's a big thing. But we go back and forth on this. I just want people to feel very comfortable and understand how this works. Okay. So strategy two, look at your income adjustments. Certain expenses may reduce share of costs, like your medical expenses, like I mentioned. If you have like a hospital indemnity plan or like a dental plan, we definitely could take a look at that, send it to your social worker, see if you could lower your share of cost. Okay. The insurance premiums, the deductions, the co-pays, the co-insurance, all that, we're definitely here to help you. So strategy three, Medicare savings program. Some individuals may qualify for these programs. With the Part B, typically, it's usually if you have full Medi-Cal, your co-pays, your deductibles. Even if you don't qualify for Medi-Cal, you might be eligible for like the low income subsidies for your prescription drugs. So that's something as well. So strategy four, plan structuring. So in some cases, Medicare Advantage plans are good. You may want to get a supplemental plan, but that's going to cost you extra, or just different coverage coordination could help reduce your overall burden. I mean, it's just already enough if you're in the hospital, if you have some health conditions that you're worrying about, and then you have to think about the financial stuff. It is concerning as well. Okay, strategy five, your annual reevaluation. Income changes, right, can shift eligibility. Never assume your situation is permanent. So please keep that in mind. Okay. So, just moving forward, the trend is there is more share of cost cases. I see it all the time. Post COVID, the eligibility is tightening. People are wondering, Jennifer, why don't I get approved for Medi-Cal? Why, right? I mean, either when you lost your job at that time, they weren't checking, they weren't doing verifications. Now you have a job again, just things like that. And it's taking a long time, like depending on the county you're in. Some counties are faster. You could be on the bottom of that list. And then once the Medi-Cal is not approved or denied, then like please give us a call on that. So the trend to increase confusion, the letters are just not matching expectations. Your social worker may not know what they're saying to you. It's all too confusing, and I'm sorry for that. And that's why we are here, to simplify it and make it better and easier for you to understand this. Okay, so trend three, greater need for guidance. People really need to understand their options, right? So I would say step one, know your status. know it, know if you have full Medi-Cal, know if you have share of cost, what that share of cost is. Please reach out to us. We're able to check on our end. And then just as a second thing, call your social worker, but be educated when talking to your social worker, just in case you have one that doesn't know what they're talking about, unfortunately. Right? So we're definitely here to guide you on that. Telling you, like, I just case after case, heartbreak after heartbreak, when people are just like so happy they got approved. Okay. So if you remember one thing from today's show, let it be this. Being approved for Medi-Cal, Medicaid does not always mean you have full coverage. Understanding your share of costs could be the difference between feeling protected or being financially exposed. I mean, that's really thing, right? And just a little side thing, like for SSI, that's that additional supplement that you get from Social Security based on your income. It's also asset based, so they are really cracking down on that too. So please make sure that you are under your limits, because if Social Security does check in the future, you may be liable. You may have to pay that money back, which is very, very unfortunate with the growing times of high inflation, just too much cost in the world. That is tough to do that. But there are payment plans. So not to scare you on that. Just make sure things are in the up and up with your Social Security and if you have SSI. So at Medicare 360, our mission is education first, helping you understand how these systems really work and not just what the letter says. I wish they would revise it. Maybe I should reach out to the constituents in my local area and tell them to change it, because it's not black and white. If you don't deal with this, it's just it's very confusing. Okay, so if you or someone you know received a medical approval letter and not sure what it means, it's definitely worth taking a second look. Please, please, please give us a call so we could help, because we do this every single day, right? So, thank you for joining me today. I'm Jennifer Alfonso Lee, and this is Medicare 360, where clarity always comes before coverage. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.